Good evening to you all, and good morning from Texas. Dinam Sudinam Chame, and I am really thrilled to see and hear from the organizers, particularly Father Varghese Pantulukaran, Mr. Sreekumar Raghavan, and also the one of the early pioneers, Mr. Philip Daniel, that how a small discussion across the round table 9 years back has developed into something which international academics and policy makers would want to see. So my all the best and congratulations, and particular thanks to Father Varghese and Mr. Sreekumar Raghavan, whom I had known for many years, very dedicated, sincere and conscientious, and a gentleman. With that, I'm also very pleased to know that the title of today's 100th event itself is a kind of a appropriate one, where the discussions that either start at the kitchen table or in the garages or in halls of power and influence could get turned into something useful. So utility matters these days, and rightly so the organizers have taken that synergistic thinking and policy making. That's very important, and more importantly, after COVID, the kind of synergistic thinking between the stakeholders, all stakeholders, whether it's user community or the regulatory bodies or the administrators, have become more important. Without synergy, countries would not have saved millions of people. So taking COVID as an example, that the linking factors were many, but quickly people in academia, people in STEM discipline, people in research, more importantly people in communication, they all worked together to get rid of this menace. So nobody would have thought that the scientist would want to work with a communicator, a practitioner, a medical practitioner would want to work with a communicator. So that clearly says that whatever you discuss, whatever you learn from the classrooms, eventually it had to penetrate, trickle into the society. And so synergistic thinking is important. So how this thing is done? United States does it in a different fashion. This has been a trend in the past decade, where the university's governing boards, we call it as Board of Regents or Board of Visitors, they invariably have a student representative in the governing board. I don't think many Indian universities have it, but they may be non-voting, but they have a voice. So any decisions made with regard to curriculum, with regard to the important thing on fee structure, valuable inputs from the representative of student is involved. So that is a synergy between the important stakeholder of an academia, students, and also on the community leaders, business people and academics. So that is one thing which I was myself surprised to see that, and the state of Texas has that in as a principle to have some representative from student body. And all decisions are mostly invariably made in the United States with some sort of student input, by having representatives of their elected bodies. Particularly student government associations have a say in terms of whether it comes to free speech, whether it comes to debating some sensitive issues, whether it comes to the goals of the universities, and also to know about what is going to happen in the future. Nobody can predict the future, but people can somewhat deliberate and debate, and the student body is invariably involved, and then faculty bodies, staff bodies are involved. We call it as a faculty senate and staff senate. So people are at least in theory trying to bring some synergy between all the stakeholders of this setup, particularly academic setup. And why this is important? Because the knowledge base is growing, and we are entering into uncharted territories such as AI. Nobody knows what is going to be the future with AI. So that there needs to be discussion there, and that's one hot topic where synergistic thinking and synergistic involvement of fields are involved, because from the manufacturing point of view, robotics and AI are expected to improve the productivity. But again, from the labor side, is it going to affect the labor force? What is it going to happen to the workforce? What is it going to happen towards the employability? So people are already starting, and rightly so, the editor of Rajagiri publication, Mr. Sreekumar, has pointed out that such synergistic thoughts regularly happen in STEM, because STEM has become more interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary. But the discussions between the business schools and schools of communication and visual and media communication, schools, human sciences have not happened. But this AI is a starting point, because business people have to interact with electrical engineering, computer science, and other folks, and also communication. So already the synergy is happening between School of Communications, School of Engineering, and School of Business. And the second area that is also leading this is sustainability. So what is sustainability? Will the consumer be able to pay for the additional cost involved in sustainability, involved in making things greener? And there, again, a synergy happens between the manufacturers, business people, the user community, and more importantly, communication has to be involved heavily here, because you have to convince the consumer. Europe is leader in this field. You have to convince the consumer that sustainability is going to be helpful, because many countries have made it a point to follow, and then to follow the guidelines of the 17 sustainability goals. So synergy is very important. To do that, there needs to be discussion at the ground root level. And I'm really thrilled that 9 years back, Rajagiri Institute of Engineering started this, and this is one effort of synergy as well. The synergy has to start from a ground root level, and these things will kindle more interest among the stakeholders, at least at the college level. So if the synergistic thought and symbiotic relationship existed in chemistry, biology, physics, and biomedical engineering. So that is moving to another phase involving other disciplines because of the need. And the one thing is deliberation and discussions, and more importantly, the next phase should involve policy makers, and that's very important. We can talk, scientists and researchers can talk many things, but this has to be conveyed to them, because they have to sell to the public. So that is very important. So the next phase of this synergistic interaction should not only involve the scientists, business people, students, but it should also involve policy makers, at least at the local level, so that they will take the inputs on these deliberations and could make decisions based on facts, based on science, based on sound economics for the benefit of mankind. So our roundtable should progress well and look into more into policy makers at the local level, and then at state and national level. Why not internationally? And I have been very fortunate that Rajagiri Media invites me, and I am kind of an ambassador for these deliberations in the United States world. So that's again a synergy. So the borders have disappeared, and after COVID, there's virtually no borders with the technology growth and development. So that's again a synergy. So the next phase of the relationship should translate into useful policies. At least they should be deliberated and should be taken to the policy makers for good discussions. With that, I just want to thank the group for having this kind of perseverance to put this discussions together. So it is not an easy task. If you look at 4 or 5 panelists in each roundtable discussion monthly, some 500 brains and minds of active participants would have been involved, and I don't know how Mr. Sreekumar has found such people. So I once again want to thank, and I wish that this group discussion continues and more participants are involved, and in terms of student participation as well as parent participation and policymakers. And thank you again.